Being sober and being free are not necessarily the same thing. What does healing actually mean? It means going on a journey to yourself. Like when most people say, I'm me, but what do we mean by that? Where am I inside? How do I know myself? How do I learn? How do I know what my emotions are, what my thoughts are, what my feelings are, what's going on inside of me? How do I come back to being able to make choices that I want, to being able to choose the things that I want to do and stick to them instead of operating from compulsion when I'm drawn or pulled to something that I can't control? And all this is understanding the nervous system regulation, what's playing out in the body as well as the mind. It's a whole physical experience, addiction. And that plays out in all our relationships because they are mirrors to our internal world. So let's explore what freedom really looks like in this video. Healing is the journey of being at peace with yourself. Like I was just touching on at the end of the previous question, that journey inside yourself to being and knowing yourself and being able to make the choices that you can. Like many people say to me, oh, my recovery is great. My recovery is wonderful. I've been sober since 10 years, 20 years. And I say, well, what do you do that you don't want to do? And they'll be like, well, what do you mean? I say, how many times do you go on a diet and 3 days later you find yourself eating cake? How many times you say you're going to save money, 2 weeks later find yourself spending the money? How many times you say you're not going to cheat on your girlfriend and then you find yourself messaging people on social media out of curiosity? How many times you say you're not going to gamble and tell yourself you're just going to have one? All these things that are somewhat socially acceptable, but what they're really highlighting is I use something as a coping mechanism. And this healing really looks like to be fully free, to have the choice over your own life, to choose. Now, for the next 3 months, I'm going to eat this way and stick to it and be totally free with that. Now, I'm not going to gamble anymore and stick to it and be free from it. Now, I'm going to stay in my relationship instead of going out of it when I feel difficulty or I feel alone or I feel disconnected. I'm not going to seek elsewhere. I'm going to look inside myself for the answers and be with what's uncomfortable inside of me. This is all a learning, a process, a journey to go on to knowing ourselves. And what that means is regulation. It's like we're starting to learn to regulate our own nervous system. Our own nervous system is not dominating our experience. Overwhelming states of collapse or overwhelming states of activation like fight or flight are not dominating and dictating our behavior to a point where we have to go and use a process or a substance to be okay in the moment. We are okay already. And there's no belief in brokenness. There's no belief in having to do something to be okay. That's just not true. There is the knowing of our own intelligent adaptive system and our own response to internal adversity and the journey that we need to go on into ourselves. When we know that about ourselves, we know that about everyone else too. It has to be true. It has to be universal. And in that process, there's such a deepening self-awareness. There's a realization and a learning, a psychological education about why I am how I am, what happens to me, what happened to me, how I come to this place of doing these things when I do become overwhelmed and I act out in a way that I don't want to against my own better judgment or against my own will. What was going on in me? There was such a feeling of pressure. There was a situation. My girlfriend left me. I lost my job. Something was so overwhelming. And it's not a failure. It's not a fault. It's a flaw. Now there's an opportunity to see something deeper that allows me to go deeper into myself and heal myself more. During this process, relationships are a gift because they will challenge us. Relationships are where the relational trauma, the disconnection from, a nurturing parent, the lack of presence of a nurturing parent, the having not being able to feel, not being able to be ourselves as in childhood. It's where this stuff shows up in relationship to others. And we tend to pick other people that will really highlight our wounds. So then relationships become a gift because they highlight the deeper parts of ourselves that we've become disconnected from and that we need a mirror shining on in order to heal. So through difficult relationships, and I'm not suggesting to have a difficult relationship just to heal, but we tend to pick them on purpose. And then what they do is they allow us this opportunity to look inwardly and see what's really going on and heal that early life experience. So with that understanding, with that learning, with that growth, with that process, we become so much more compassionate towards ourselves. And we see that like all people are innocent. All people have gone through this experience, and it allows us to have compassion for others. It's not saying that we accept unacceptable behavior. There are people who do things that are unacceptable. I'm not denying that. what I'm saying is it gives us so much more compassion for ourselves and for the struggles that we've had. So there's not so much self-judgment, self-criticism, self-blame, self-loathing going on, but it gives us that ability to see ourselves in a new light. It actually makes sense why I do these things. And then it makes sense why others do these things. And it allows us to help others heal in that process as well. So that really shines a light on what the healing journey looks like, feels like, how it is to be in, and how it is to be free, to be totally free of these struggles and to be healed, to be free, to choose to do what we want. Now, you might choose to drink or use, you might not. I choose not to. That's the best thing for me. And that's just what makes sense to me. I don't have a reason for it. It's just that it's been so long and it doesn't make sense for me to do that. I have had clients that have chose to drink or use sometimes, and they have been free to do so. And then if I've had people that tried and it felt like, you know what, this feels a little bit like sticky, so they chose then to change their mind. Relapsing is not a failure, because it's just part of the process of learning about yourself, what you can and can't do and what's right for you.